that 50 million people who are poor, how can you, when you finish a course and come out of this institution, how can you bring employment or money to 2 or 3 people who are not able to do it, because you got the wisdom now. So once you don't go in there and say, oh, how can I make money there? You will say, how can I help these 3 people to gain employment or eat food? Your job is to help 3 people. Rather than make $10,000 a month, how can you help 3 or 4 people? That's called sustainable marketing approach. You're with me?
Yeah.
Tell me, if you got any question, please ask me. If you don't ask me questions, then I will feel very worried, which means you don't understand what I'm saying. If you don't ask me questions, I get very worried. Please ask me questions. There are 2 reasons why I want you to ask questions. One, I can stop talking, so take your rest. Second, I know that you understand what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying? Why are you looking sad? Are you sad? Anybody sad here? You're sad. You're a bit sleepy, I saw. You want a nap? Have you had breakfast? If you haven't eaten, now tell me. We'll go and eat something. I mean, I'm always good. I usually take my students on a Friday to a pub, and we have usual afternoon discussion in the pubs outside India. Seriously. Then they open up and they tell me about their inhibitions, and I learn more from them. So, did you learn anything about me? Any new thing? Yes? Can you tell the class, please? Can you? Speak up, please. You want the mic? Speak up. Please speak up. What is that? Yeah, she's going to tell you about me. Please tell me about me. I also want to learn. Sorry? Sorry, speak up. Huh? Someone else can read what she says. Can you read? Please. You got it there? Yeah, please read it. Please. Yeah. Stand up and read, no? So people can hear. I'm asking her, about me. They found out what about me.
Experience, reason and storytelling. Culture and business roles. Vice President and the healthy of international businesses.
Yeah. So you can speak into Swahili, no? I mean, I don't mind. I mean, I'm sorry that I can't speak Swahili, but you can between you, I don't have any problem communicating in Swahili. But I encourage you to speak English also, because when you go out, it happens in an international language. But you speak between you and find out about me. But before you attend anyone's class, before you go for any meeting, the first thing you do is just put on Google bar. If you're going for an interview tomorrow, for a job, what do you do first? Research about the company, but the person who you are going to meet tomorrow, you search and say what all his likes, what is his passion, and when you start talking in the interview, what he likes to hear, you can, this is good. Always, research in such a way that you know more about that person when you're sitting in front of. That will actually enable you to speak very confidently. Make sense? Yeah.
What you've just said, I think more often than not, people attend interviews and they don't even know who exactly is going to interview them. Most likely in the Kenyan situation, you may know what that company is, what it deals with. If it's milk, then you have no business looking about lubricants. It's just milk. So, but I have my question regarding marketing and emotional appeal, because when you talk about sustainable marketing and you are driving towards making people make that emotional decision. So, I mean, is that the new frontier, or what? How are the markets looking like?
Emotional connect is very important, extremely important. You're talking about emotional connect. And that is where I think, again, you people, anyone who can speak more than one language comes along, you have got much better emotional intelligence. About placements, very important topic. When you go for an interview, first, you all send an application. I mean, I'm briefly going to touch on the placement values. Everyone sends their resume. I mean, you send a resume, 3 resumes come to me. What does it, how do I, all of you got equal qualifications. How will I select one of them? So always make sure your resume, which you are sending to a job application, is uniquely different. Uniquely different. And that, I mean, I have interviewed so many people. Let me tell you a real life story, okay? When I came to India, I was working in Australia. I was recruited by this company to come, TATA company, to come to India and work. So, my first recruit was a manager, the sales manager for telecommunication. Her name was Priya Vivek. I still remember her. So, I mean, I really wanted to start putting few people. I was asked to develop a new division and build it up across the country, across the world, etc., etc. But I was first employed. What stood her apart, I mean, so many resumes come to me. And something in her resume stood apart, you know what? She put so much focus on her extracurricular activity called badminton. I play badminton. State champion of badminton, blah, all kind of thing. I thought, immediately I started thinking, someone who is so fond of putting her sports skill in the resume cannot go wrong, because sports people can take, so much pressure. That's all. I said, take her. And I didn't want to see her also. My secretary employed her. And I was never wrong. I recruited so many people looking at qualification, but the best performer in my group was Priya. Within no time, I mentored her. She went to UK and walked around the world, and she's somewhere now in the world. But the point I'm trying to make is, when you prepare a resume, make it stand out from the rest. You may ask, how do I do it? Always, when you send a resume, don't send a standard resume to all the company. When you apply for a company, do some respect to that company. You research that company. And you have an appendix. You have a resume and then a small attachment of half a page. Are you able to understand my speaking? Yes. I have a small half a page as an attachment and call it my value proposition or my area of interest or what I like to do. Simple. And 5 sentences. And those 5 sentences should be something really targeted to that company, what it is doing. For example, if you're applying for a job in this company, they're trying to build a dairy factory. This company is important. You have to research that. Because I happen to know, they are actually expanding big time here. They're bringing machinery here, setting up a factory, expanding the course material. So, right, I'm passionate about working in the dairy industry and understand the latest technology. And then immediately that resume will stand out. Correct? Rather than just sending a resume. So what you have done is what in business we call target market. You are marketing yourself to an employer. And there are so many people actually sending it, but you need to target precisely to that particular company's requirement. That is called target marketing with your resume. So never send a resume with the standard resume to all the companies. You research that company and understand what they are trying to do in the next 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, and attach a small appendix. That appendix is called what? What is heading for the appendix?
Value proposition.
Value proposition.
Area
My
of-
area of interest. Then you say, oh, this person's area of interest really aligned with my company's area of interest. Understand? That is how you stand out in a company. Okay, that is number one. There is only one objective for a resume. What is it? To get an interview. End of story. Foot in the mouth. And once you go, as you said, once you get into the interview, you always make sure who you are going to be. Company research you have done, but you need to know the person. If I am interviewing you, you need to really go through my social media pages, my papers. So, what is it? You should be telling me what is the last paper I published. It's about artificial intelligence in Medium or International Business Times or LinkedIn. If you go through my LinkedIn profile, you will see my last paper published on LinkedIn paper. The last post I had. Can you see my last post? So if I am interviewing you, let's say I am interviewing you, I expect you to go through that and then, oh, this guy just finished writing a paper. Let me learn about this. What is this artificial intelligence in China, India, etc. Oh, this is good. And he also talked about mercury rising in that paper. So I haven't seen this mercury rising. So let me watch. And then when I ask a question, like, what do you know about mercury? If you are come to me for an interview, and say I asked a question, so what do you want to do? I'm in ICT, I'm in telecommunications, so what are your strengths? And then you say, immediately you think, oh, this guy has just written a paper on artificial intelligence. Let me latch on to that. Oh, I'm so fascinated about artificial intelligence. And I happened to watch a movie called Mercury Rising. And immediately my eyes pop up. Wow, I wrote an article last week and this person is talking to me about the same paper. Isn't it? So I was so interested, and then let me tell you how I got my first big job. Okay? Ready for the story? It's only story, okay? You like stories?
Yes.
I'll tell you about storytelling. Robert is a much better storyteller than me. So I'm as an immigrant in Australia in the early 90s, I'm struggling with mortgage, finance, all kinds of problems in life. And there is this big job advertised with mobile phone just came in, okay? In early, mid-90s, 95, you were not born then. I'm feeling a bit ashamed that to speak about it. Anyone born 95? Nobody was born, right? Here. No. Anyway, so that was my job for interview with Vodafone. Okay, they are the market leaders in the world those days. Vodafone UK, big. So I went there. It's actually position manager wholesale business. And I'm a mechanical engineer, but I did my master's in business administration. So I was thinking I'll get some of those questions. And the interview had my boss, who is actually the general manager wholesale, and managing director came in for a few minutes just to introduce himself and then left. And there was an HR person also supposed to come. When I went in there, they said it was those days, Sydney Olympics was happening in Sydney 2000, and there were a lot of traffic and all kinds of drama. So anyway, this lady was a bit late to come into the meeting, the HR lady. So this manager asked me some questions about technical questions, and I tried to answer. I don't think I was. He asked about termination. I have no idea what he was talking about. The interview was not going well at all. I said, this is a waste of time, I'm not going to get it. And then this lady came in, the HR lady, human resources lady came in. And she apologized herself, said she got caught in the traffic, etc. Okay, I said, Dave is the other person. Dave, how was the interview? I finished all my questions, she said. And then the pressure is on her to ask me something. And you know what she asked? So, without her, he had finished all the questions for half an hour, 45 minutes. And the manager came and said hello to me and then left. And then this lady came a bit late, and they said, They finished all the questions. So she had to ask me a question. So she simply asked me a question. Oh, okay. Give me the name of the book you read last. Give me the name of a book you read last. First you asked, she asked, what do you like? Do you like reading? I said, I read. Give me the name of the book you read. So I couldn't bullshit. I had just finished reading the book called The Romantics by a guy, an Indian origin guy who lives in UK called Pankaj Mishra. The Romantics. Then she asked me, but then she wanted to test me if I am just, giving some, a lot of people really give some fake names and think, get away with it.
Yes.
And tell me, what's it about? I said, romantic. The next 1 hour, they just listened to me about the story of romantics. It's about an Indian boy in a city called Varanasi, the holy place where this Kumbh Mela is happening now. You know what is happening? Holy day. A French woman comes there and she falls in love with this Indian boy, and they have a romantic whirlwind, and then etc., etc., etc. And the French lady opens her eyes to a world different to France. And I mesmerized them about the idea of romance, idea about a French girl coming to India and falling in love with the Indian boy and going around. And they all sat there. They ate out of my palm for the next 1 hour. And she asked me to just wait. And she rushed out and brought a compliment, a coffee mug actually. Gave it to me. I knew I got this job in my pocket.
Thank you.
And I held up back. I did not accept the job. Within half an hour I came home, they offered me. I said, not too long. They started increasing the job offer. I held them down for 2 weeks. They increased this and they offered the company car, and then they said, oh, you can get the 4-cylinder car, this car, that car. Finally, guys, I got the job. That was my first big break in Australia. And that's why I came into telecommunication. And my knowledge about telecommunication has got nothing to do with that job, correct? Nothing. My ability to really tell a story. I was honest. I had actually said goodbye to getting this job. But as he said, I started connecting emotionally with the interview board because I got an opportunity to talk about the book I read. And then they assess me as, someone who can actually empathize with different situations. Someone who can actually think differently. As opposed to all the white boys running over for those days, everyone. It was actually a big white man's world. Those days when mobile telecommunication came, only they knew what is mobile technology. I started thinking differently. Within no time, I actually came out with and told them, you guys are doing things wrongly. And I said, telecommunication is not about making voice calls. It is not about content. And then sitting